Hey, this is Kez from ThemeStarta. In this tutorial, we are going to turn the ThemeStarta framework into a very simple two-column blogging theme. So I'm not going to do anything too fancy, just a couple of minor changes to just create a clean and simple blogging theme. Alright, so we've gotten started just with a basic install of the ThemeStarta framework with some just simple content installed. Now, what we're going to do first, because I want to make just a really simple layout, is we're going to hide some of these blocks. So, just going to use one menu. Go into the show and hide settings for the second menu. I'm going to set everything to hide, and I am not using Spotlight block, so set all of these to hide. I'm going to rush through this a little bit quickly. I'm not going to explain every panel and every setting. If you're not sure which areas do what, you can get a full explanation of each one of the different settings panels in the ThemeStarta tutorial section. So I'm going to set all these to hide as well, and we're also going to hide the widgetized footer, the footer one block. So just setting all of these to hide, and now I'm going to save those settings. And I'm just going to update the theme so we can see the effect. Okay, so now we've just got the header, the main menu, the content area with the sidebar and the posts, and just a simple clean footer 2 block. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to get layout in place first, is I want to change this post area so that I've got 2 columns. So, actually no, beg your pardon. The first thing I'm going to do, because I've hidden these blocks, I'm not using these blocks anywhere in this theme. I'm also going to hide them in the preview so that the actual preview that I'm looking at is more closely aligned to what I'm going to see in the theme itself. So, opening up the ThemeStarta options, and I am going to go in here and disable the previews for the blocks that I'm not using. Save that. Okay, now you can see that the preview looks a lot more like the actual theme is looking already. So now we are all set to start changing the layout. Now I want to change the layout of the posts. Now I want multiple columns on the front page and on the blog pages. So I'm going to save that. Go, and now you can see here we've got the 2 columns. So just to explain that a little bit further, as soon as I switched these 2 settings here to multiple, it activated this setting here. So before I had set this to both single, this was grayed out, so it wasn't active because we weren't using multiple columns anywhere. So as soon as I switched this over to multiple, it enabled these choices here, and it just went straight to 2 columns, which is what was already the default for if you're using multiple columns. So you can change this. So just to give you an example, if I wanted to change this to a 3-column layout, I'd just switch to 3 there, save. And now I have a 3-column layout. This is good for more so if you didn't have a sidebar, so you had a bit more space to work with. But in this example, we just want 2 columns. And just update so we can have a look at the front end. There we go, very nice. Now you don't have to constantly look at the front end if that's not your preferred way to operate, because for me personally, I like to do all of my theme designs offline on a local host. I like to flick back and forth between the 2, but you can do your whole design just through the WYSIWYG preview. That's completely just up to your personal taste. So that layout is pretty much as we want it to be. So I'm going to generate new theme defaults so that anytime I want to, I can roll back to this save point. You should get in the habit of generating new theme defaults as often as you can remember. Every time you know that you've created something you don't want to lose, if suddenly the power goes out while you're saving, or a piano drops on your desk or something like that, you want to know that you've got a point that you can roll back to at any point. So keep generating new theme defaults as often as you can. Alright, so we now have a nice simple 2-column layout. Now we can start to add a little bit of color and style. So I'm actually just going to make one more little layout change. I want a bit of space above the theme area, so I'm just dragging the whole thing down. You can see this little readout here, top spacing height 15. It tells me that this little gap above the whole site area is now 15 pixels high. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to wrap a nice grey border around the whole site. So just opening up the theme general options and background. So this tab here, just basically this applies to anything that isn't related to a specific block. And I am going to set a 2-pixel border around the whole site. Okay, just going to update. And there we go, very nice, it's starting to form up. And something I like to do early in a theme design is choose what fonts I'm going to use. So opening up the Google Fonts section, let's have a look at the font library. So this is the Google Font Library. There's lots of new fonts coming out all the time. But that said, I usually still find that the best fonts are the ones at the top of the list if you sort by popularity. They still tend to be there for a reason. So for this theme, I think I'm going to use the PT Sans font. It's a really nice clean font. So all I need to do is just look at what the name is. Just copy that font name and just paste it right in here and save. So now that I've done that, that PT Sans font will be available whenever I click this choose a font button. You can see that PT Sans font has been added to the bottom of the list. You can do that with as many Google fonts as you want, but we recommend that you don't add any more than 3 Google fonts to your theme, just because of the fact that the theme is going to have to load each of these Google fonts that you want to use. So normally 3 is the maximum that you want to include. And you shouldn't really, from a design point of view, have any reason to use more than 3 fonts, because you want to have a bit of consistency. And the other consideration is that you probably only want to use Google fonts on your headings, so that you're not forcing your site to go through too much processing. So I have just set PT Sans font to the header here and the tagline. Just going to play with the size a little bit of those fonts. Just bump this up to 42 and we'll make that bold, and we might say 24. There's no particular reason for these font sizes. It's just all just done on I wouldn't say guesswork specifically, but just on trial and error. You know, you need to just mess around and decide which sizes you want to use. So that's looking nice there. I'm just going to reposition that. And again, you know, it's all really just comes down to your eye, what looks good to you. Save that and update the theme so we can have a look at the front end. Starting to look very nice. And now the next thing that we do, now that we've chosen the font that we're going to use, is apply it to these other headings. So to the post titles and the widget titles, so that we have some consistency. So going into the sidebar widgets, going to select PT Sans for that heading as well, and then also in the post area text and links, choose PT Sans for that too. And then also you have your default heading tags 1 through 6. Want to open up your default text and heading settings so that you can also set PT Sans for all of that. So when you choose a font, you can just click this button here to do it, but if you want to have another way, you can also copy the font name and just paste it into the other fields where you want to use it, depending on if that's faster for what you're doing. Save that. Okay, so now you can see that that's PT Sans is applying to all of your headings here, all of your post titles. And I think this particular font looks better bold than normal weight, so I'm going to bold those headings too. So you can see a lot of this process is really just playing things by ear. There's no right or wrong way to do these things. You can just let your designs naturally evolve. So, you know, you put something in, you make adjustments to it, you tweak it, you go by just look and feel to keep enhancing a design as you go along.